Good morning, SKN. I'm Andre Cunningham,
And I'm Cortense Carty.
and we do apologize for the late start this morning due to some technical difficulties right here in studio, but we will pursue.
We will pursue indeed. So thank you for your patience while you're waiting on us, and we're happy that you're tuned in this lovely Tuesday morning.
Any thought for the day? Just to get over this.
Just to get over this. Well, we humping earlier. Alrighty, so think positive thoughts, do good deeds, and say kind words, and encircle yourself with positive people. That's my
Awesome.
thought.
I love that one.
Indeed.
I will share mine in just a moment.
Okay. We proceed now to the local news. This from SKN Vibes. The Ministry of Tourism recently held its St. Kitts Tourism Youth Congress on the 12th of May at the St. Kitts Marriott Ballroom. The competition hosted 7 high school students contesting for the title of the St. Kitts Junior Minister of Tourism 2023, 2024. 2022 is gone, I apologize. During the competition discourse, the participating students articulated ideas relevant to building a resilient and sustainable workforce, wellness tourism, and accessibility in tourism through insightful and innovative presentations. In addition, the students were also given a mystery question pertinent to the tourism industry and were allotted 1 minute to share their recommendations. The competition was championed by Miss Cameron Ordain of the Washington Archibald High School, who scored 407 points, having successfully awed the judges with her impressive recommendations for the set topics. Ms. Cameron Ordain is set to represent St. Kitts at this year's Caribbean Tourism Organization, the CTO Regional Youth Congress, slated for October 2023. And let me tell you, when Washi won, it's like they came prepared. You saw their flags come out, you saw rags, you saw pom-poms, and the noise in the room.
Washi always do it big.
And
They
always
always do it big.
always come prepared. I like that about them.
And this one comes to us from way by press release by the Nevis Island Administration. Honorable Eric Evelyn, Deputy Premier of Nevis, issued an urgent call to young persons on Nevis to be prudent with their finances and to begin saving. The Deputy Premier was at the time delivering remarks at the 2nd Annual Financial Management Workshop on behalf of Honorable Mark Brantley, Premier and Minister of Finance in the Nevis Island Administration. The event was hosted by the Premier's Ministry in the Nevis Island Administration (NIA) at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park on May 10, 2023. There were more than 30 youths between the ages of 18 to 35 in attendance. He said, and quote, "You as young people must begin to get into the habit of saving. You cannot spend all of the money that you get at the end of the month. You must be able to save. We don't know where sickness is, and when you have a little money, some of you here, I'm sure, would have the experience of relatives, and once you get sick, that money just whittles away, and so you must be able to save for a rainy day," end quote. The Deputy Premier also encouraged the participants to plan and be economical if they wanted to succeed, and to pay heed to all they were exposed to at the training workshop.
That's good, because when we're sick for real, our money just goes.
Indeed.
So the money really, it doesn't.
Don't get to see the fruit of your labor.
You don't, because sickness takes everything from you.
I agree.
As we continue now, our story comes from SKN Vibes. As Taiwan continues to seek a place at the global table, it has found an ally in Nevis Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley, and his government as they push for the island nation, which has for years been embroiled in a fight with mainland China, to be recognized. In a social media post on Saturday, May 13th, Brantley again called for Taiwan to be included in critical global affairs, describing the Asian island, and quote, "a peaceful, democratic, and a modern country," end quote. Taiwan continues to lead the world in the development of technology, but over the years, Beijing has been blocking its inclusion in major international organizations claiming the island as part of the People's Republic of China, thus preventing it from being recognized as independent. Brantley wrote on his social media page, Taiwan should be allowed a voice at the World Health Assembly, the WHO, to share its vast experience as global leaders in the provision of healthcare. Taiwan should be allowed to participate at the International Civil Aviation Organization, the ICAO, as it hosts one of the busiest airports in Asia and is on the cutting edge of aviation safety and security. Taiwan should be allowed to participate in Interpol as the fight against transnational crime knows neither politics nor boundaries. Taiwan must be allowed to share its expertise across international multilateral organization as we all strive to meet our sustainable development goals.
Quite so. And as an independent state, I do believe Taiwan should be able to govern themselves just like main China does.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. They need to. They can stand on their own.
They sure can. So let's watch and see what happens in the long run.
Interesting days ahead.
Indeed.
And here's what's happening in your local weather report. Today it will be partly cloudy with a high of 85 and a low of 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Take a look at your weather forecast, guys. We're up on the break. When we return, much more on Good Morning SKN.
Cheers.
An exotic experience.
Greetings, my lovely people. I'm Chantel, residing in Taiwan. 12 hours time difference. It's nighttime here, morning time in SK. I'm busy and on the go. However, I always manage to keep up to date with what's happening in SK. All thanks to Good Morning SKN. Good morning, SKN. Ciao, bango!
Good morning. This is Karen of Paris and support from Paris, Vermont. I want to encourage y'all to sign on to Good Morning SKN every morning from 8 to 10 at Studio 327. Thanks.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. If you're just joining us, it's now time for regional news. This one comes to us by press release by Macmillan Education Caribbean. Macmillan Education Caribbean has announced a new set of language webinars running as part of their Language Lab series during next week. The webinar series comprises 3 days of language arts and English webinars, which will run from Tuesday 23rd of May to Thursday 25th of May. Language experts Jill Bogel, Julia Sander, and Leonie Bennett will explore how teachers can get the most out of Macmillan Education's existing and new titles to help language arts and English students develop integral literacy skills and earn valuable certification for each. In the 3 sessions, some of the Macmillan Education's key literacy titles, Snappy Sounds, English Matters, and Language Tree, will be used to demonstrate literacy skills. The language arts and English titles covered are available from pre-primary through to secondary level. Attendees of Language Lab will receive a certificate of attendance for each webinar attended, as well as an additional certificate for attending all 3 sessions. The sessions will be available on demand in the following week on Macmillan Education Caribbean's channel.
That's good.
Awesome.
And as we were discussing earlier, we grew up on this.
We do grew up on some of these books, so
them.
it's good to see they're still continuing the work. You know, education is key.
It sure is key.
Yep.
As we move to the international scene, our news comes from the BBC. 11 Indonesian villages from Aceh province have reached a confidential financial settlement with oil giant ExxonMobil. The villagers have been at the center of a 2-decade-long legal battle over alleged human rights abuses. They say they endured torture, sexual assault, and beatings by Indonesian soldiers contracted by ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil said it condemned such abuse, including those asserted in this case against the Indonesian military. In a statement, the oil giant said, and quote, "It should be noted where there were no allegations that any employee directly harmed any of the plaintiffs. The settlement brings closure for all parties. We express our deepest sympathy to the families and the people who were involved," end quote. The alleged atrocities were said to have taken place in and around ExxonMobil's operation in the Arun field, North Aceh. The gas field, referred to as, and quote, "the jewel in the company's crown," was among the world's largest natural gas fields. So I'm happy to know that they
Get some form
settled
of
it.
compensation.
Yeah, indeed, and may they use it wisely.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, there you have it for local, regional, international news. There's so much more on Good Morning SKN. Go tell your friends and your families to turn on their television wherever you're watching us, be it St. Martin, Trinidad, Guyana, Bahamas, England, the USA. Thank you for watching. Tell the others we're on. See you after this short break.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Cheers.
An exotic experience.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First, you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you. And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
no cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN, and joining us in studio is Russ Aya of the Nyabinghi Frequency Order to share the history of African Liberation Day and the details for their upcoming week of activities. Russ Aya, welcome to
Welcome back.
Tono greetings and joy. Give thanks for having Anna in the studio of 327 studio, as I say, Morning SKN and Nevis. As we go wide it in the YouTube and the Facebook, I will say Facebook. So it's a blessed love and joy.
What a way to start the morning.
Indeed.
Russ Aya, could you just share with us what is African Liberation Day?
There is a good thanks to say what the meaning of African Liberation Day. We see in 1963, there was 31 heads of state assembled at the African Hall that is located in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And before we could enhance, we like to say more love and guidance to our laws who was there at that time and those who penetrate the aspect of those in the Charter of 1963, because in 1958 there was a meeting that held in Accra, Ghana, to outline this format that we now call African Liberation Day. So we are glad to see the magnitude of that span come to this magnitude of 60 years of celebration to mark the independence of all African states, that is in 55 African states.
Nice. So what does this day represent?
The day represents the concept of coming out of colonialism. As you see, the formality of those states, only Ethiopia itself was never colonized. It wasn't occupied, and the occupation took place in 1935, the 3rd of October. So when you look at these magnitude, that the history are stories that align our people, who we are and where we're coming from, we must be able to say we're giving thanks for those who sacrifice for what we are able to reap for today.
Okay. Let's talk about the theme now. Africans stand ready for revolution. What does that mean? That's not the one for this year? What's the theme for this year?
I'm going to get the theme is consolidating and expanding linkages between Africa and the Caribbean. So we have able to enhance that theme because we see it's time now. When you look at the charter that was enhanced in 1963, it wasn't just talking on the continent of Africa. It was talking about the diaspora where our people have able to be in for them time during the colonial era.
Okay, so could you share with us when and where was the first celebrated?
As we just outlined, in the early days of the 1958, the Accra Ghana was one of the instrumental format because Ghana was just coming out of the colonial era, and it was one of the first independent state that come out of the colonial era. So it had used that formality, and that in that form that able to bring the charter now got head up in the 1963 that formulated the OAU, what is now called the AU. Which I still have some deficits of what the AU really meant, because the OAU had instructed the Organization of African Unity. The AU says African Union, but we're still seeing some things that need to really rectify in our struggle that we're going forward as African people, home and abroad.
Okay. So who will deal with the rectification? Are you sure? Or there is just advocacy going on at this point to get it to be changed?
Basically, not to change the AU naming now, but what we say,
the meaning.
The mantra have to really full take in his position that he take and he stand, because when you establish, you establish under the former president of South Africa, who is Thurman Mbeki. Now, Thurman Mbeki was the one who instrumental with a lot of assistance come from the US, with no doubt. But we say we want the involvement of these foreign people to influence who we are as an African nation.
Okay, so Ras Aya, it's African Liberation Day, right? How is African Liberation Day? What is significance to St. Kitts and Nevis, and how is it that it is relevant to St. Kitts and Nevis?
Well, I just say not relevant alone to St. Kitts and Nevis. It's relevant to the whole entire Caribbean shore because we are descendant of our African brothers. We, as our pioneer, who is Kwame Nkrumah, he had indicated that you don't have to born in Africa, we are African. So basically, we are not just looking just to be in the continent to represent ourselves as Africans. We represent ourselves as African, whether we be in the diaspora of the Western or even in the Pacific. Wherever we lie within this continent or the universe, we say we are all Africans because when they bring us across this passage, we wouldn't say Christian, Rasta, or Muslim, say African going, and every head was 25 cents a head by the Europeans who enhanced by, as they call them, the Roman Catholic and others who make profit out of our African slave trade.
Okay, so Ras, we know the day was founded in Ghana, but who founded the day?
His Majesty was one of the instrumental figure that he is the spearhead go through all those trials and tribulation from the class between World War I and II. So in the instrument of time, he show you that he had more experience than any other African leader. He ain't to say that we're looking at to say because we see him as our God and King, we give him that title to rule, but he fulfilled that pattern to show the unification of all Africans.
You mentioned the entire Caribbean participating, right? But what are we doing to observe this day in St. Kitts and Nevis?
It's a very good question. That I would like to say we have a full activity slate and our gongs from the 18th of May to the 28th of May. And when we look at how we see just by Thursday this week, we will have our flag blowing of all the 54 African nations. So these are a part of the venture of the youths them who will be doing that in the primary school level.
Okay, nice.
So 54 youths actually will be
displaying the flags of the African continent.
Nice.
Interesting. So you all have a large following.
Well, we look at just not, I heard all up in the clip of the news report you all were reading, and you all talk about some Macmillan and them other thing there. We don't burn out them things there because we pass them things a long time. But we say it's time to edify our people in high story because we have a vast high story to develop our young generation.
Interesting. And let me make it clear that these views are solely the views of Ras Aya and not the views of Studio 327 and certainly not Good Morning SKN. But Ras Aya, you share some of the activities that will be taking place from the 18th of May, right? So how can persons who are interested get involved in these activities?
Well, from the 18th, we have on the 19th is a very important understanding for our people to look at, to get involved, because the 19th will be in the Independence Square supporting our brothers who are from the continent of Africa and sisters who will be displaying African cuisine. That is their own national dish that they're coming from whichever part of Africa. So we are implying that the public of St. Kitts and Nevis to come out and support. This is starting from 11 o'clock in the morning. That's Friday, go down to 2 after 2. And they will be displaying their food. So we are saying these are impact to help see how we can foster relationship between our brothers and sisters on the continent and outside the continent.
Fostering relationships. Have you had the chance to visit the Cameroonians that ended up being moored here?
We don't have not have the chance yet, but we're looking to do some discussion in the Naibingi house because I don't want to make a decision on my own. It's go by a theoretical movement, and the theoretical movements deal with the order. So even though I would like to say, we would like to move one time, but you have to go by the members who say whether it's fitting at that time. But we call out on the brothers them who are here from the continent of our African shores, who are Cameroon or wherever they are in the aspect right now. We say we're willing to support whatever time we can support you and whatever needs that you can see the better relationship between our people here and you all who are here coming along the shows.
Of course. And earlier you shared that celebrating African Liberation Day, they'll be having some African cuisine in the Independence Square. So can you share with us some of the most highly anticipated events other than the cuisine that will be on this?
Well, the most important highly anticipated event is the Solidarity Rally, and the day itself what marked the 25th of May. We're calling as African Liberation Day, Freedom Day. But I would like to say, without any fear or favor, we know here in all the African countries in the continent do observe or preserve this as the time on the 25th of May. But even though on the 25th of May indicate that all African must be free. And seeing how we see now there are the independent states of their own, not colonialized, but they're not owning their own resources to divert their affairs. So that's the problem we're facing.
Okay, well, we'll take a short break and then we'll be right back to continue this discussion with Rasaya. Stay tuned.
Yo, this is your boy Smiley of the Grandmasters Band and you're watching GMSKN. Hey, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just make sure you're watching GMSKN. What up?
Cheers.
An exotic experience.
Yo, what up? It's your boy N Richie right here at Studio 327. I'm here to give you the promo that you guys need because this is something special for St. Kitts. I'm telling you, tune in to Good Morning SKN, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and on Moment Channel 4. Also, I realize nobody else is doing this. Follow the Good Morning SKN Instagram at Good Morning SKN and the Studio 327 Inc. Instagram. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook. This is pretty long, but follow us and yeah.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN as we continue our discussion with Rasaya of the Nyabingi Theocracy Order. So Rasaya, before the break we were speaking about some of the activities, but you mentioned the most important starting from Sunday the 21st. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
So can you continue along that path?
Well, before I could go, I would like to say thanks to my patriot who is not here physically with I and I, but an L of Zambo, who are able to be instrumental in I path and able to give I enough courage and wise mind to go do what I is doing now. And even like to say to Brother Dabo, who is not here on our shows, but he's in the Caribbean shows, say heal up to ones and ones in the love of all African brothers and sisters wherever you are. Now we would like to say for the Naya Bingi Tiakosiada, we are able to bring a committee together. We just didn't want to make it look like it's a Rastafari thing. We make it look like it's an African appearance. So we are able to have some members who is not Rasta a part of this committee. And this committee have been working from since last year at the set-go. Since last year only. So these are the things that we're able to put together as a committee, where we have the 2 days that we outlined earlier, as the 18th and the 19th, as being a part of our events to the activities. Now our activities go down within Foundation too, and the Foundation start on the 21st of May on a Sunday. That is in the Sandy Point Market, and we start from 5 p.m. We do, when we say Foundation, this is Naya Bingi chanting, we do smoking ganja, we just reason, but we ain't gonna smoke ganja just like that alone. What we do is have things that can impart the information of what we people look at when it comes to the observance of African Liberation Day. You see, and then we're able to highlight the reason of our team and give an indication of what we're moving forward for the activities then. So on the Monday, then we have our distribution of local history book to our school that we select as the Keyan Secondary School. That's in the morning, and in the same morning of that Monday, we'll have talk and the frank and candid of the discussion talking about this, the theme consolidating and expanding linkages between Africa and the Caribbean. And in the same afternoon, that will be on Freedom FM with another discussion. So we have, this is an impactive activity that our week will look to highlight educational formation, not just by talking as saying, oh, Africa, we're looking at why we see the format of African linkage to our people who are in the Caribbean. And then we have the Tuesday, we have a discussion again where we enhance why Africa. And that is like a discussion impacting both male and female energy. We don't want it to look like all man just talking. We want male and female energy in that impactive. And the place, the venue to be announced, because we had that as a Tuesday to deal with school children, but one of the school at Polo, so we had to change the format and do something to enhance that they still. So that is why we say venue will be announced, but we know we have an area that we're looking at, and that is the area we're looking to be at the Nemo headquarters. So we could get the conference room. If we didn't get, we look at a community center as a part of that venture. And then the Wednesday where we do our annual food hamper distribution to our elderly and needy island wide of St. Kitts. And we look at the Thursday to compare ourselves going over to the waters of Nevis to embark on the 25th of May, which highlight the 60th/50th anniversary of African Liberation Day. And the reason why we say /50th anniversary, because we're able to see that 1973, our people of here utilize this strength and the courage to enhance celebrating African Liberation Day. Especially those of the Akolo Tegamante, those are one of the instrumental people who had the family dance theater and group to enhance, where you could have used the Market Street area called the MIS Hall, where Marcus Garvey come here in 1937 and deliver his great speech about St. Kitts and the vital aspect of St. Kitts and Nevis and what we can do as a people. And then we look at the format of that same day within our shows over Nevis to celebrate the rally over there to mark the 60th anniversary, because we had it scheduled to have a lecture here on that same day, but the money didn't come to what we were looking, so we had to push the lecture on the 26th, which needed to be on the Friday, to do a Zoom lecture. You see? So we're still impacting and having that activity going forward.
So Russ, let me just take it back a bit. It has been a controversial issue, right? When it comes down to your nationality. So say, for example, you're born in St. Kitts, so you're a Kittitian, right? Do you see yourself as a Kittitian, or you see yourself as an African?
Well, last night I called in and promoted host program where he do YouTube and Facebook as they call it. And I told outline to him, I'm not a kitchen, I'm a Cushite Nubian revolutionary thinker.
Okay.
You see, because when we look at ourselves doing nationality, we draw away ourselves from the serious emphasis of the trouble that had had. You see, that's why I can base myself in nationality.
Okay.
I'm a revolution thinker.
I see.
Straight off the bat.
Because I mean, I've seen persons who were literally born in America, but because of their race, they consider them as African American, even though they were born in America. Like, why call them African American if they were born in America?
Stereotype. You gotta look at you see linguistic and the words every step. But that's why I say me only grammar, you know.
Yeah, because
English
language we wouldn't refer to you as Kittish and African.
No.
So it's a controversial.
You see,
topic.
when you look at it, you gotta look from the formality of the people who introduce these things.
Right.
You see, because they will look at these things that's trying to claim territories.
Yes.
But we're not in claiming territory. We are in building a nation, an empire.
Right.
You see, because the formality of what we see as our ancestors, we're coming from a lineage of king and queen. We rulers. We did things that the world is still amazed at what we ancestors did. So we can't be afraid of what the things them people trying to push on us, because we know these things don't come along, but we have to be willing to stand and be who we are.
Yes, exactly.
Fascinating.
For what we believe in.
And rest, for those persons who are interested to come on board and join the week activities celebrating African Liberation Day, just tell them why they should come out. Speak to the people who are listening.
Yeah.
Tell them why they should
encourage their participation.
Give thanks for the word, sound and power, because without the word, sound and power, we wouldn't live. And we mean by the powers of the Almighty, not by mankind. Because mankind only could give I and I a little, but the energy got come from the Creator. Now we say the moment at hand is that all people are suffering. Whether we like to believe it or not, but it's the truth. And we are suffering for the lack of knowledge. So we are saying now, it's time now we open up who we are, not what we want to be. Kabama said, we refuse to be what they want us to be. We are what we are. That's the way we are going to be. We stop riding on this white chain. We are rebelling against all the evil act against who we are. That's why we say come out and understand your story, because without your identity as an African, wherever you go, don't think because you go with your nationality you're gonna be safeguarded. Because you see it happen when Britney Boy now, who went down into Russia, what do you think they do? They watch her as an American, yeah? They watch her as a woman. Even in the concept that she went and used herb, you see, and they imprison her. Which in these laws need to go off the book in international laws, because human rights is being violated all over. So we say it's time now, as we see African people and even those who are African leaders on the continent and our brothers and sisters who are leaders in these regions of our plantation land, we call it as some small island states they call us. We like to say it's time now we full take in the fullness of unification. Because if divided, we not succeed. But united, we must accomplish for the next generation, because it's not for our own, it's for the next generation.
Fascinating story there. Russ, I want to thank you for coming into the studio with us this morning and share with us your knowledge and details on African Liberation Day. There you have it, folks. Go out, support them, give them all the support they need. Fascinating week of activities. Stay with us. Much more when we return on GMSKN.
Give thanks.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you. And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Cheers.
An exotic experience.
Good morning. This is Karen of Paris and support from Paris, Vermont. I want to encourage y'all to sign on to Good Morning SKN every morning from 8 to 10 at Studio 327. Thanks.
And stay with us, folks. Connections is up next with David Brown. We'll be right back.
cash, no card, no problem. Jad, embrace the freedom.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First, you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you. And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
Welcome back to a Good Morning SKN. He's got a big ego. Such a big ego. No, I can't do the Beyonce, but at least I tried. So you definitely heard this song by Beyonce. So when you hear the word ego, what comes to mind? Well, Oxford Languages defines ego as a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So once again, it describes ego as a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So ego tends to get a bad rap, sometimes negative, one's interaction with others, making them feel as if they are superior to others. And so we hear people say, and quote, the ego is the enemy. But there are pros and cons to everything. So in this segment, we will be looking at some of the pros and cons of the ego according to the environmental conscious. So don't have a big ego. Oh. Slow your ego. Well, in some situations, right? So the pro of egoism. Having an ego can help you to achieve your goals sooner. So, and I just said that.
I agree.
Be mindful of when you need your ego.
Yes.
Your ego,
you don't
and
want,
when you don't.
You don't want your ego to come across too sudden. It can turn off people. So you have to know when to turn it on.
Turn it off, yeah.
Yep.
Because some egos come off with such arrogance.
I know.
Scoff at that.
It does. It does.
So I like the fact that it can help you. So the con of egoism. You may have difficulty finding a purpose in life. Ooh. It's in red.
Yeah, you may have difficulty finding a purpose in life because you have a negative ego.
Not really.
Some persons have.
Or maybe you have too many things going on, and you think that because you are this person, you can get through with it, but then it doesn't work.
But some person's ego is their pride. I mean, your ego can be negative. Me personally, it can be negative, and it can also be positive.
Indeed, and that's one of the pro of the egos,
right?
Because the positive part is that we can accomplish everything because we set our minds to it, and we're gonna stick to it, and we're gonna get it done. But the con of it, you may have difficulty finding a purpose because you're doing so many things that you keep changing. One time you're this. Quite agree, you are allowed to change what you want to be, but it's like you have too many things going on then. Confusing. Yeah. So you can't find the purpose. You can't.
Drive.
Boy. And you feel, because I touched all of these aspects, I'm better than you.
I know.
Wow. Calm down the ego. Yep.
Next one, guys. Con of egoism. The quality of group could suffer. That's true. Because it's all about you and you have such a big ego, and so
and nobody want to work with you. Nobody.
Because of your ego, I mean, the group will probably think, oh, you got it. Hortensia got it, man. She has that big ego. So
Bravado.
Yep.
So I can handle it.
The quality. I agree.
I'm only gonna do my part.
Or you probably think you could do all the parts. So we leave it up to you. That side of it.
Yeah, but and the fact that it suffers, that means all the parts weren't completed.
There you go.
So I only did my part because I'm gonna complain, y'all, when we get to class, that Andre and friends did not want to work with me because they didn't think what I was telling them was correct. So they said I have an ego. So this is my ego doing my part. So can I be graded for it? Some people sound like that.
You'll get an F. And this is the reason why it is a con. It is a con.
Oh my God.
So your ego can help you to increase your productivity.
Yeah, let's stay calm now, man. So you do your piece, I do my piece, we come together.
Right.
We put it all together and then we read and see if our jigsaw puzzle makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Put it. But what about those persons who think that their way is the only way? They don't want to hear what you have to contribute.
There's no such thing as the one way or the correct way and the right way, and we had that discussion the other day. So we have, and you see, there's an next form of ego right there. So we have to down that part of it and just listen. We are all coming from different backgrounds. This is how I see it. Is this the way you see it? And this is how we have to live, because I might see red, you might see orange.
I agree.
But I can't say, Andre, boy is a boy. Boy, he's a fellow. We normally say that. A fellow don't know color. But maybe you have your own perspective and I have my own perspective, but it's just for us to work together to reach one common goal. And with egos, to disagree. With ego, we can't reach to a common goal. Yeah. So do we have any more pros and cons? So the pro of egoism. Having an ego can help you to figure out your strengths and your weakness. Indeed.
Tell us, because
you have to be confident in what you can do or what you can produce. So that is where I think you can have a controlled ego and not an egotistical personality that, oh, I know, this is how it goes, blah 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 blah, you know. So you have to know, okay, Andre, I'm good at research. So we are going back to the teamwork, right? So Andre, I'm good at research. Andre, what are you good at? We can include X and O. So X, what are you good at? O, what are you good at? And we put it all together. And I'd be like, I'm not good at writing. Let's say we didn't have computers and all these things. I'm not good at writing. So
that would be one of your weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly. So Andre, can you write? Or Andre, I don't understand this clearly because I see things differently. So I identified my strength. I'm good at research. And I identify my weakness. So ego can work.
It can.
But it's how we portray it.
How we put it to come across. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Identifying your strengths and knowing I can't do it. And I need your help.
Right.
Yep.
Next one, guys.
And if we have any more, Egoism.
The con. Egoism may lead to loneliness. It's a con because you think it's all about me, you know it also. That's it. Nothing gone done.
Nothing. We'll have nothing done because you can't get along with me, I can't get along with you, and you're not willing to hear where I'm coming from, and it's not gonna work. Like yesterday, whilst sitting in the room doing some work, there was this Naked and Afraid episode that came on, and it saddened me, being that it shows that as people of color, of African descent, man and women, we cannot get along, because I have watched many other Naked and Afraid with Caucasian persons, and even if they have a disagreement, they agree to disagree, but they live in the same quarters and they work together. Do you know the two of them? The lady lived on one side with her netting, and the guy went to the next shop the next door, and they called themselves neighbors, and they were sharing, and they were arguing, and it's like the two of them could not put down their ego, because she wanted him to be one way, and he wanted her to be the other way, and the egos butted heads.
Got it.
The only time I see they sort of got along is when they were sharing food in the end, borrowing the machete from each other, sharing the fire starter. And that's the only time. And on the last day when she came over and she said, wow, you lost a lot of weight. And he was proud that she finally put down her ego. And he had put down his, but he just couldn't deal with the woman.
Got it. So you would agree that one of the cons of egoism is that it can lead to loneliness.
It sure does. As I said, he was on one side and she was on the next side, and they were both lonely. But you see. They were supposed to keep each other company once in a while. Not romantically, because it's Naked and Afraid. But because of their egos. The two crabs could not live in the same hole.
There you go. Perfect way to say it. I agree.
And
totally agree.
And they did complain about not having each other, you know.
Wow.
But his ego said, I have to stay away from this woman for my mental health. And hers would be like, he's not listening and he's cutting me off in every conversation that I have, so I'm going to stay over here.
And I'm sure you have your own ego. I have mine.
Yeah.
But we have to find a way to let it coincide.
What do you mean coincide?
I mean, listen to your strength and weakness while you listen to mine. Then we come together. And so
understand.
We can definitely
have supple egos. Is that what you're saying?
That's the phrase. It's the phrase.
All righty, folks. We hope that you would have learned something from us discussing the pros and cons of our ego. And if you have an ego, bring it down a little today. Don't be offensive to anyone. We can all survive in societies. We all have various strengths and weakness that can work for the benefit of all of us. With that said, stay tuned. Much more and Good Morning SKN after this short break.
Stay with us.
Cheers.
An exotic experience.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN, and joining us from Nevis via Zoom is the Honorable Michelle Slack, President of the Nevis Island Assembly, as we discuss the mock sit-in held on May 4th in observance of Commonwealth Day 2023. Michelle, welcome to Good Morning SKN. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning to you and your team. Good morning to your viewers, and thank you for having me.
So, Michelle, could you, as we dive into the discussion, can you share with us why was the mock sit-in held? What was the reason for the mock sit-in?
Okay, so the Nevis Island Assembly actually operates as the Nevis Island branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And so the event was held in that capacity and to commemorate Commonwealth Day 2023. That was really the main thrust behind the event. In addition to that, we try to maintain a youth parliament organization in Nevis. And so we thought it best to merge the two and host the event in commemoration of Commonwealth Day.
We, over here in the studio, we normally discuss days. So we were having problems figuring out Commonwealth Day. So Commonwealth Day, because what Google gave us, no offense, Google, don't come for me, was a day that's later. So Commonwealth Day was actually May the 4th. Was it?
No, Commonwealth Day was 30th March. It was in March 2023. And because of logistics and planning, we weren't able to pull it off until May. So we had our event in commemoration of the day on May 4th.
Okay. So thanks for clearing that up for us. So that means the days were crossed for us. It is said that you are working to revive the Youth Parliament on Nevis. Can I say, and I stand corrected, is it that the Youth Parliament in Nevis has been dormant? And if so, for how long? And how has your efforts been in reviving the body?
Okay, so we have had a youth parliament existing for several years. And as a result of COVID, there was somewhat of a lull in activity because of the lockdowns. And so the president at that time, the Honorable Farrell Smithen, who is the former president of the Nevis Island Assembly, had indicated that they were unable to host the youth parliament sittings. So it was COVID that really caused the organization to become a little dormant. And I'm using the expression organization loosely because you may be acquainted with SCANIPA, which operates more as an association. The Nevis Youth Parliament is not set up in that way as yet. And so that is something that we want to do, which is why you would hear us indicate we want to revive it, and we refer to it as an association. But strictly speaking, the association itself has not yet been fully formed and functional with a constitution, a head, and so on. As it is now, it is really the president and the assembly, and with the assistance of the clerk as well, who would really ensure the running of the Nevis Youth Parliament.
Okay, good stuff.
So, Ms. Slack, let's dive into the debate for a bit. The theme was Nevis Environmental Levy Ordinance, the Nevis Environmental Levy Ordinance. Why was this topic chosen?
Right. So as as I mentioned, we were discussing or trying to commemorate Commonwealth Day 2023. So we considered the theme for this year, which is forging a sustainable and peaceful common future. And we focused on the sustainability aspect of it. The theme itself was focused on peace, ending war and violence, and also climate action and climate resilience. And so we tried to find a topic that could center around these areas, something that is topical, something that is debatable, and something that people can relate to. So what we did was to consider a piece of legislation that we have that is geared towards environmental action, climate resilience. So we use the Environmental Levy Act. And I say act because Nevis does not have its own environmental levy ordinance. So we converted that Environmental Levy Act into an ordinance, and we had the youth parliamentarians debate an increase to the environmental levy. this is something most people would be acquainted with because we are a society. As a society, we import lots of vehicles from overseas. And it is under the Environmental Levy Act that a levy is imposed where a fee has to be paid depending on the age of vehicle that you import. And so what the amendment did that the parliamentarians were debating would increase the levy for a used vehicle over 4 years from $5,000 to $7,005 that you would have to pay in addition to your customs duties and so on, and to increase the levy on vehicles that are between 2 years to 4 years of manufacture from $3,500 to $5,000. So that's something that is debatable, relevant, topical, and in keeping with the Commonwealth theme for this year.
Interesting. And trust me, those debaters, they were on fire. I watched it and it was so fascinating and intriguing. They did well.
Nice.
They did.
Yes, they did. And the thing about it is the youth parliamentarians did their own research. Right. So they did their own research, they compiled their presentations. We gave them just general guidance and tips, and they were able to present their arguments, present their positions for us. What was required from our end was just to ensure that the presentations were in keeping with the standards of the House in terms of what is parliamentary language, and in ensuring that nothing was said that was offensive. And even in that regard, there was hardly any change we would have had to make. And so the work that was put in was really all the youth parliamentarians.
Oh, that's nice. You mentioned war as one of the topics that was also including. Why is it that was also not debated? Because we know how the war in Ukraine affects the entire world.
Right. So because the topic for Commonwealth Day was twofold, and we had so many persons who were willing to participate in youth parliament sitting, that really gave us two topics, but it would have been too time-consuming to debate that in a wholesome way. So we tried to focus on climate action, which really is something that is in the news a lot. So it is topical, and it is really something that dialogue is needed in relation to, and that came out of the youth parliament sitting. That dialogue is really, really important. From the arguments on both sides, it became clear that a balancing act has to be arrived at, where while the governments have to take steps geared towards climate resilience, those actions really ought not to be done in such a way that would make the burden on the common man heavier. So dialogue is necessary, and strategic thought is necessary. And that came out in the debate.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff.
And Ms. Lack, could you share with us what was the public's reaction to the debate or the mock sitting? What was the mood like over there?
Okay, so from my end, sorry, I didn't even realize the sound was coming from my end. At the sitting, we had a panel of assessors, and those assessors were not really to announce a best speaker or to announce a winner at the end of the mock sitting, but it was to observe and give us general feedback. So we had that, and the assessors were very impressed with the youth parliamentarians. The standard of the debate was high. The standard of the presentations were high. The youth parliamentarians conducted themselves professionally, competently. They were well prepared, and they appeared as they were seasoned members of parliament already. Indeed. That was also general feedback that I would have received from some of the persons who attended the sitting and generally thereafter. So I think people enjoyed it. People welcomed it. One person had actually suggested to me that, this is something that we should probably think about hosting another one towards the end of the year. I thought that was a good idea. So it's something we will discuss and consider to see whether or not that is feasible.
And once you host that one, you have to come back and we talk about that, right?
Sure, not a problem. Perhaps even at that time, we can have a few of the youth parliamentarians with us.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. So, what are some of the plans to revive the youth parliament on Nevis? And as you mentioned, to get it back or to get it to an association like the one that's on St. Kitts?
Right. So mainly what we want to do is to create an association that works along with the assembly but is independent of the assembly. That will require creation of a constitution for that entity, which is something that we are working on. And at the moment, we are trying to keep the interest of those youth parliaments we currently have, so that once the association is set up, those persons would come in and form part of the association, be members of the executive. The clerk and I have discussed hosting professional development sessions. So public speaking, preparing your presentations, and just general career guidance and advice that would assist those parliamentarians who may possibly end up in leadership roles, who may end up back in the House in a few years. In addition to that, we do have, as a branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, a youth parliament sitting that is coming up in a few months. And so we will continue to work with and prepare youth parliamentarians who may be attending the youth parliament sitting this year in July. And so that is on our immediate radar. And following that, we hope to continue to work with them to create the association.
Indeed.
Interesting. And Ms. Slack, we've seen how our current parliamentarians operate in Parliament here in St. Kitts and over there in Nevis, but how important it is for our young people to get involved in politics and, of course, youth parliament.
Okay, so I think it goes without saying because, well, let me mention that this year for the Commonwealth is the year of youth. And generally speaking, outside of that, we all see the importance of getting young people involved in various aspects of society because they're the ones who will take over. Before I knew anything about this office that I now hold, I was a youth parliamentarian. And that would have assisted me in giving me the early learning of the workings of Parliament to make the transition to this position a little easier. So when we introduce persons who have that interest at a younger age, it makes the transition also easier for them. And we always have to be mindful of succession planning. We also have to be mindful of the fact that the baton has to be passed. Yeah. And whoever is the prime minister, whoever is the premier, they won't be there forever. Exactly. And having a young person who they can train, who they can mentor to ultimately pass the baton on to is something that is critically important for continuity.
Indeed. And for youths that may be watching, Ms. Slack, who would the youth parliament be looking for? What type of youths? Do we have to be youths from sixth form? Can we just be youths that are in high school? What types of youths are you looking for, and how can they get in contact with the youth parliament in Nevis?
Okay, so at the moment, the age group is something we are still trying to confirm. What I would suggest is that if there's a young person looking at the program, you're between the ages of 16 up to 30, and you're interested in joining the youth parliament, you make contact with us. I can leave an email address with you. It is legislature, which is LEGISLATURE, legislature at niagovkn.com. legislature@niagovkn.com, and you communicate to us your interest in being a part of the Youth Parliamentary Association. While we finalize and iron out the parameters of the association, persons can still come on board, express their interest so that they're kept in the loop while we go through the transition phase.
I like that. I like that indeed.
Interesting. And Miss Lack, I mean, time really flies when we're having powerful discussion. But as we wrap this session, can you share with us some words of encouragement for other young debaters?
Okay, so sure. One of the things I would suggest is that we focus, do not get distracted, and do not get sidelined. Do not shy away from things that you may consider to be hard or difficult. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot on the internet. There are many various social media platforms. So there's always something to distract you from what you really should be doing. As a young person, you are at this stage where the world is your oyster, everything is ahead of you, and you can choose what you want. And if you can approach it with diligence, if you can remain focused on what the goal is that you have set for yourself, and you set aside distractions during those moments where you have to focus, it makes it easier for you to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself. And as I mentioned, that there's usually a quote that I try to live by or adhere to that says, you will never reach a higher standard for yourself than you yourself set. So therefore, set your mark. And though it be with painful effort, with self-denial and sacrifice, strive to attain the highest rung on the ladder of success. It's a quote from G. White, who is an author. And I think it's a really powerful quote, and it's something I choose to live by. I would recommend it to others, and set your mark high and strive. The sacrifices won't last forever. So I know there are even some young people who they think twice about going off to university to study because they don't want to leave their comfort zone. They don't want to leave home and their friends and family. In addition to the fact that everything is now accessible online, if you have to traveling and being away from your family and friends, it's temporary, and you're not missing out on anything when you're bettering yourself. So I would encourage young people to focus, set your mark high, and try to attain your goals.
Wonderfully said. Indeed. Well, Ms. Slack, thank you so much for joining us today on GMSKN. We want to thank you for speaking with us and sharing what took place at that mock sicking. It was fantastic. Continue to do what you do over there on Nevis. Well, there you have it, folks. Stay with us. Much more when we return on GMSKN.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First, you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you. And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
Good morning, SKN and Studio 327. This is Tao Batiste, one of your biggest fans. Just you're doing a lot of things well. Keep on that trajectory. Greatness.
Cheers.
An exotic experience.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN and this edition of Real Talk. So according to IndiaTimes.com, to lead this life and fulfill all of our needs, the most significant factor is money. We can accomplish all our wishes and make life easier. We can purchase whatever we wish and roam the places we wish to, and so on. Money can buy everything material, but it can never buy happiness, peace of mind, and sleep. However, the morals that we have in our life makes our life meaningful. It is because of proper morals and good characteristics we are recognized and loved in this world. We are not born with values, but we acquire them throughout our lives as we do money. So do you believe that?
Of course, certainly.
Okay, so let's look at the definitions now. So according to Oxford Language, value is defined as a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. So that's the definition of value. So the definition of wealth is defined as an abundance of valuable possessions or money. So Andre, which one do you think we need to survive in life? Wealth or value?
I think personally we can do without both.
We can do without both?
No, I don't think so.
We can do without both?
We cannot do without both.
Okay.
So for me personally, it's 50-50.
50-50.
Yes, I think your values help you to create your wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And with that,
your values help you to create your wealth.
Yes, okay. I think your values does, because say for example, values are something that we learned, or we taught, our parents taught us the values. And so with these values, when we learn them and we use them in society, it helps. Let's say if someone look at you and said, oh, he possesses some good values or qualities. By looking at that person and the qualities and the values that he possesses, then that person can in turn, quote unquote, hire them for a job based on the values that they possess, and with those values, and when you're hired, then you become gainfully employed. So that's how the wealth comes in. So I think your values help you to create wealth. Because when persons see the values that you possess, they admire those values, and so they will eventually hire you for a job.
So you're looking at it from the job perspective, kind sir. Okay, so WebMD says WebMD.com says children generally learn norms and personality traits from their parents.
Right.
Our parents teach us love, they teach us affection, they teach us thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's property. They teach us trust, patience, kindness, cooperation, and empathy. Culture, faith, etc. So those are the values that we get from our parents. But are all the values that are instilled in us, are they correct values? Because we can come up with one. I'm gonna use religion, and then when we get older, we be like, "This doesn't seem right," because we delve into it, we figure it out, we learn it for ourselves, and then our values change, our beliefs change. So,
but we were taught some of these, well, quote unquote, religion, back to religion, we were taught, and so values are also taught, and so just as how we were taught about values, we were taught about religion as well. But however, when we grow up, do we stick to the religion we were taught?
Because is it still valuable to us? So that's why as we grow in life, I think we have to revisit what is valuable to us. Because at the time, our culture was valuable. We're like, no, that's not right. That's not what it is. We learn. Like Ras I was here earlier. Ras I would have studied and delved in to find out all these things that he knows. But for someone else, the culture, they might say, "Oh, I don't believe what Ras I is saying." But until you learn or you delve in the books for yourself, then you won't understand. You won't be able to agree. So I think as we age, we really have to look at our values. And as you rightfully said, our values make us who we are in society. It's because somebody's gonna say, "Oh, Andre's nice," or Hortensia is nice, or whatever. It's because of what we portray. And
those values that we portray.
Exactly. Indeed. And we model what we learn from our parents. Because as young children, whatever we see our parents did, we did. Because I'm going to give a little funny story. You know, you see your mom spinning the clothespin on her clothes when she was washing. And you as a child want to go pin the clothespin on your clothes as well. Because you thought, oh, that's the right thing to do. But you get, oh, nah, put it in a clothes basket. I'm not pinning anything on my clothes. But it's just that the values that we learn, I think it is of utmost importance because I find it gets us through life.
I agree. Yeah. But what do you think about trust when it comes on to values?
I think trust is iffy. It is. I think it's a value because our parents said, okay, if you don't tell me a lie or if you lie to me, how can I trust you? So you have to be truthful.
I agree.
Yeah, so trust is a big thing.
And speaking of trust, as I mentioned earlier, say for example, someone likes you, they like your values or the qualities that you possess, and they're judging you, they're looking at you and admiring you, right? And so they would eventually one day gain trust from you based on how you present yourself. You understand? So they will eventually trust you over time. And with that trust, I mean, I'm going to go back to employment. They can invest in you because of some of the values that you
would have seen.
Right. So
if you let's use a cashier or the bank teller.
Right.
They see that you can handle money. You've never tried to sneak away a quarter or anything in your pocket, and they just promote you. So you end up dealing with the monies all the time because they trust.
Exactly, and it brings back the point. I think your values help to create your wealth.
Yeah, as you rightfully said, but money, the root of all evil.
I'm not saying we should choose wealth over our values, or
you can. As you said, it's 50-50.
It's 50-50, yeah, personally, because I've been in some situations where, trust me, the values don't help at all.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so let's speak about money then. So this comes from schoolworkhelper.net. It says money is more important. According to George Bernard Shaw, money is the most important thing in the world. It represents health, It represents strength, it represents honor, it represents generosity and beauty. And we see this morning the Honorable Eric Evelyn was admonishing the young ones to save, because he went as far as the sickness to tell them, if you don't have money in sickness, then we see what happens around these parts. We have to gather up our sponsor sheets, we have to go to all of our families, and we see how fast sickness can take out money.
Exactly.
Although you can have the money and you can't cure the sickness in the same vein.
Right. But speaking on money and wealth, bear in mind that money cannot buy happiness.
Not at all.
It cannot solve all of our problems.
Neither. Nope.
We are, as I said earlier, we were taught that it is the root of all evil, and indeed it is. We can't do without it.
We can't do without it. But if I don't find, well, I can speak for myself. Let me speak for myself. And I see now that society is incorporating it where the young children, at least from preschool, they are getting money advice and how to manage money. I don't think we had that.
We didn't.
If our family came from foreign, we got a little $5 and we took it away, or our parents said, let me hold that for you.
I know.
So money values to me weren't instilled in us. As we got older, we understand, and our parents always used to say, when you get older, you're going to understand the value of money. But you never taught us the value of money. You should have not been throwing that phrase around so loosely. You should have been teaching us the value of money. That's why some of us end up doing bad things. And let's go back to the good book. We see what money made Ananias and Sapphira do. Instead of giving up all the money, they took away some for themselves.
I know.
The local dialect, they took away some for themselves.
Always turn to the Bible for some direction.
And you see, if we only follow it. So money is important, but sometimes it makes us do bad things because we accept bribes.
So you would agree that you would choose values over wealth any day?
I would, because although we need money to survive, sometimes money can make us do some nasty things. Yeah, so I would definitely choose it. And Jim Carrey said, I wish everyone could be rich and famous to realize that there is no joy in that. So
there you go.
We see the richest of celebrities. They have money, guys, and I empathize with them. I feel so bad. They end up down the wrong path. They end up in rehab.
Many times persons who are quote unquote wealthy, they are not happy.
Yeah, because they're thinking of the next way to increase their wealth or to get more money. So in pursuit of the money, there's this meme that shows this rich guy. He has so much money in his bag, but he's running behind this money that's dangling, like you know, like when you have the carrot dangling before the horse, and he runs all the way to his grave. And guess what? Everything is dropped down there, and just a skeleton fall forward into the hole. And that shows that us wanting to acquire so much, getting so much, grabby. We're never contented. The money definitely is the root of all the evil, although we need it. We need it for survival. Yeah.
Improper money management can lead to debt, which leads to stress.
And we know that when we can't pay our bills, what happens?
Stress left, right, and center.
Corona had some of us stressed to the max.
It did.
Yeah, because we can't pay our bills, and then the persons who we owe, I don't think they were being as understanding. Some tried, but others was like, we need our monies. We need our monies. Yep. So, and to follow up with this one, to acquire more money, we end up doing things that do not align with our values. Indeed.
But I mean, as we wrap this session, I think both depends on each other. Your wealth and values. As I said, wealth help to create your values. Help to create your wealth. And I do believe in that.
Okay.
How you portray yourself, how you carry yourself. I mean, honesty, trustworthiness, those things help persons to see a different side of you, and so they would want to know more about you. In return, they would either bring you in their company, in their business, and you can definitely,
or in their circle,
or even in their circle. Trust me, with doing that, all boils down to money.
Yeah, but then IndiaTimes.com says in closing, morals excel over money. One can survive without money, but never without
morals. I agree.
Yeah.
I certainly agree.
Yeah. So, values for me excel having money, but we know we need money to eat. We know we need monies when we're sick.
Right.
We know we need money to pay our bills.
But don't let money let you lose your value.
Don't let it lose. Yeah, don't accept the bribes. Don't take monies to speak bad about someone.
Right.
No, it isn't worth it. Think about your life. Look at the good book. The good book shows you those that try to defraud or rob others where they end up. No.
Correct.
Let's have enough to survive, and as they said, have enough to travel, have enough to do what you want.
Right.
Have enough to pay your bills, but don't be overly consumed by money. As we are taught, it is certainly the root of all evil. Yeah,
I agree.
And values will definitely get you far in life. Indeed. And with that said, we'll take a short break, and we will be right back here on Good Morning SKN.
Yo, this is your boy Smiley of the Grandmasters Band, and you're watching GMSKN. Hey, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just make sure you're watching GMSKN. What up?
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom. No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN, and Hortensia, time really flies
When we're having fun.
when we're definitely having
And
fun.
we sure had an informative show today.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. So it's that time when we recap and share what was our memorable session we had.
Memorable segments. I wonder how many of those. I think all of them were Ras Aya.
Yep.
He's always informative.
Trust
always
me,
honest.
I learned some stuff from Ras Aya this morning I didn't
Yes.
even knew existed in St. Kitts. I didn't even knew there was a Nyabingi house.
Oh, you didn't know?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so now you know that I bring it theocracy exists here in St. Kitts as well.
Trust me, all that was missing on this set was some Congo drums, and we
You did say that.
helped them
You did
celebrate.
say-
I hope next time we could bring some drums up in
Indeed.
here.
Yep. And I'm happy that they're reviving the youth parliament on Nevis.
Yes.
So for those of you who may be between the ages, what did she say, 16 and 30,
right.
this is your opportunity. You are the future. You are the next generation that's going to take the mantle from the Honorable Mark Brantley.
Yep.
And you will be the next leaders of Nevis. So do not miss out on the opportunity to become part of the association. And as you heard us say, they are basically tuning out the fine kinks. So you want to be in there once those kinks are smoothed out. So you go ahead and apply to ensure that you secure your spot.
Did you watch it though? The youth parliament?
I didn't get a
It was
chance to.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I could definitely see some of our current parliamentarians through some of these young people.
You know-
I could see some attributes from Mark Brantley.
Ah.
I could see some from Timothy Harris.
Oh, wow.
I could definitely see some portraying
Did you see some
Denzel Douglas.
Ooh,
Yes, yes.
So they have been watching the politicians. So politicians, you're being watched, so you know you have to be on your P's and your Q's.
Of course.
To ensure that the next generation do things correctly and to instill in them the values that they may need.
Indeed.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I enjoy that as well. And the fact that we spoke about values and we spoke about ego. And I hope that, as you said, we can have our egos, we use our egos to accomplish what we need to accomplish. Right. But in a group, we tone it down.
We tone it down. Trust me, some of us have some big egos, so much so that it overpowers us.
It overpowers us and it puts us in a bad light.
Right.
Because nobody is going to want to deal with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the worst things is when you have a bad ego. Bad ego is just a turn off.
Indeed.
Sure is.
It's a big fat turn off. And we also learned about wealth and values, and we decide for ourselves, which is important. And for those of you who would have watched that segment with us, let us know in the comment which of these two is important to you, or if it's like Andre, they work in tandem where it's 50-50 because we need both to survive. Oh yeah. So this is the part where we say,
so long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. But Courtney, you started the show with a quote of the day. So I think I should close out with a quote as well.
Go ahead.
So my quote for your folks this morning is, it is not your aptitude, but your attitude that will determine your altitude.
Values again.
There you go. It is not your aptitude, but your attitude that will determine your altitude.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining us today, folks. Tune in daily where you will find a little bit of everything for everyone. Get your friends and families to watch. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms, including Facebook and YouTube at Studio327 Inc. and Instagram at Good Morning SKN. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, and share. Also, check out our website at studio327inc.com to learn more about GMSKN and Studio 327.
And leave us a comment and let us know what was your favorite part of today's show. We discussed ours. And see you tomorrow on Hump Day at 8 a.m. when you'll wake up bright and early and start your morning with us right here at Good Morning SKN. And I'll leave this with you. Remember, we have to have the right values to enjoy happiness. Have a great day. But if you can't, don't go messing up nobody else's. Tabitha Brown said that. Bye.